Hello there and welcome to the video. So today we're going to be looking at an article in the Guardian newspaper which says researchers find a Western style diet can impair brain function. After a week on high fat, high added sugar diet, volunteers scored worse on memory tests. Now I'm going to make a statement just here on that initial opening line by the Guardian. High fat, high sugar. So which is it? Was it the fat or was it the sugar? I'm going to say it's the sugar. In fact, I'll say I know it's the sugar. And looking at the research, all evidence points to the sugar and definitely not to the fat. In fact, the fat part of the diet is the good part. But for some reason, there's still a grip by the sugar industry, which is one of the most powerful industries in the world. And they still manage to get the media to publish information that still fudges the date or fudges the message slightly, just like it did back in the days when the tobacco industry were under scrutiny and they would blame it on everything else but themselves, and actually they still do. But let's have a look further. It says consuming a Western diet for as little as 1 week can subtly impair brain function and encourage slim and otherwise healthy young people to overeat, scientists claim. Researchers found that after 7 days in a high fat, and once again they're talking about the high fat, high added sugar diet, volunteers in their 20s scored worse on memory tests and found junk food more desirable immediately after they'd finished a meal. Now I'm just going to say here, I'm in my 50s and I've been on a high fat diet for almost 2 years. I wasn't having a weight problem before, but I was having to count all my calories and I was having to go hungry just to keep below my weight, my optimum weight, even though I worked out like a beast, 4 times a week with a personal trainer for up to 2 hours, and yet I was still finding it difficult to keep the weight off. As soon as I would forget to count the calories, the weight would start to pile back on again. I thought, this isn't normal. So I went to what's called a ketogenic diet, which meant that literally for me at the beginning, for months, I was eating about 80% fat in my diet. The rest was protein and a little bit of carbohydrates. I now eat maybe more protein, in fact, definitely more protein, but still have really high fat content. And if possible, I would say no carbohydrates. But obviously, they appear in food, even in some proteins and some fats, you've got carbohydrate, or some protein foods and some fat foods, you have carbohydrates. But otherwise, like chips, rice, pasta, fruit, sugars of any sort, they're not in my diet. And my weight stays really nice and stable. I never get hungry. I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and I can train like a beast without getting tired, and I feel great. So you can't get fat eating fat. That's basically it at the end of the day. They go on to say, after a week on a Western-style diet, palatable food such as snacks and chocolate becomes more desirable when you are full. I know it so well, said Richard Stevenson, a professor of psychology at Macquarie, University in Sydney. This will make it harder to resist, leading to you eating more, which in turn generates more damage to the hippocampus and a vicious cycle of overeating. The few times in the last couple of years that I've gone back to eating a carbohydrate or a normal diet, the diet that most people in the Western world eat, like at Christmas, wow, do I want to eat. I just the hunger that I feel, it reminds me of the hunger I used to feel all the time when I used to eat a carbohydrate diet, plain and simple. And then when I go back to a ketogenic diet, I start eating the fats again. After about 2 days, the hunger pangs disappear and I start to feel human again. So, to investigate how the Western diet affects humans, The scientists recruited 110 lean and healthy students aged 20 to 23 who generally ate a good diet. I wonder how they term or what they consider a good diet. I bet it's not what I would consider anyway. Half were randomly assigned to a control group who ate their normal diet for a week. The other half were put on a high-energy Western-style diet, which featured a generous intake of Belgian waffles and fast food. Demonstrating that processed foods can lead to subtle cognitive impairments that affect appetite and serve to promote overeating in otherwise healthy young people should be a worrying finding for everyone. Yes, it is. And it should be common knowledge. Why it isn't is due to corporate control. The corporates have control of the media and they're paying for the media. They're paying for the adverts. And so the media write what these corporates want. They control the narrative at the moment. So in the long term, eating a Western diet contributes to obesity and diabetes, both of which have been linked to declines in brain performance and the risk of developing dementia. So this is a website from a Dr. Dina, and she's a doctor for children. And here she says, sugar is taking a devastating toll on our children's health. Sugar hijacks the brain. When sugar hits the reward center of the brain, it acts in the same way as a drug does. It releases a surge of dopamine that makes us feel good initially, but that lift doesn't last. Over time, we need more and more sugar to get that same boost. This starts the cycle of cravings, and in vulnerable children, addictions are often formed. And you just have to look at the rise in childhood obesity over the last, let's say since processed foods and since high sugar content foods entered our food system and what we eat on a regular basis. When I grew up, you got like 10p once a week if you were lucky, and you went down to the sweet shop and you bought this teeny weeny bag of sweets, and that was the sugar content, really, the extra sugar content that you got in the diet. Otherwise, my mum fed me on meat and 2 veg and a little bit of carbohydrates. It would normally be potatoes, and the food, the meats was and the potatoes would have been cooked in lard, in pig fat. I remember going down and buying big lumps of lard to cook the food in. But get this, in the 1700s, the average person consumed about 4 pounds of sugar per year. 4 pounds. So a bag of sugar is 2.2 pounds. So you would get 2 bags of sugar in a year. Now, it's 180 pounds per year. Now, 180 pounds is almost 13 stone. So it's my size in sugar every year. So this is Psychology Today. And they say that research indicates that a diet high in added sugar reduces the production of a brain chemical known as brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, as I'll refer to it from now on. Without BDNF, our brains can't form new memories, and we can't learn or remember much of anything. Research has also linked low BDNF levels to depression and dementia. It's possible that low BDNF may turn out to be the smoking gun in these and other diseases like Alzheimer's. Now, Alzheimer's has shot through the roof recently, and if you think of old people, I think of my mum, it was all processed and high sugar foods. Even when she was in hospital, it was like, what are you feeding my mother? It was just like custard and apple pie and white bread sandwiches. It was all just processed garbage. This makes me laugh. Sugar is vital for your brain health, which is the biggest guzzler of the sweet stuff in your body, Dr. Drew Ramsey stated. This is what else he states. I'm a physician who specializes in brain health, and I think sugar is a miracle. Do you really? I don't even want to refer to this guy as a doctor. Your brain needs it. No, it doesn't. The brain's number one desire is a constant supply of energy, sugars and sweet foods. Absolute drivel. While sugar face is a thing, sugar addiction isn't. Well, this is the interesting thing about sugar addiction. When they study animals, it's simple that sugar is completely addictive, yet they can't seem to agree that sugar is addictive with people. In my personal experience, I find sugar more addictive than any other drug that I've taken, which has never become addictive. However, sugar has taken me sometimes years to be able to quit, because I've had years where I've had this is like sugar cane, sugar beet and sugar substitutes like fructose and things like that. I've managed to cut them out of my diet completely, but if I take a little bit again, it can take me weeks and sometimes years to be able to kick the habit. In my personal opinion, it's highly addictive. So this is very well mined, and they say research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition used the glycemic index, a measure of how certain foods convert to sugar in the body, to test this process, and found eating a high GI meal elicited greater brain activity in regions involved in eating behavior, reward and craving. They say a study published found that sweet foods can be more addictive than cocaine, though the research was performed on animals. It was performed on rats, but the rats would go to the sugary food before they would go to drink basically water. It was water and sugar, and water mixed with cocaine. And the rats would prefer the sugary water over the cocaine water, leading them to believe that it was more addictive than cocaine. But in answer to this, sugar is vital to your brain health, which is the biggest guzzler of sweet food in your body, I can tell you it isn't, because I don't have sugar in my diet. There's something that the liver does, which is glycogenesis, and it can convert protein and fats into glucose, so the little bit the brain does need, gets converted and into glucose so that the brain can use it. But otherwise, the brain is quite happy to change from using glucose to ketones. And this is an article by the diet doctor who I follow. He's brilliant. Are ketos good for the brain health and function? Well, it's been proven in research that it's good for epilepsy, mental health conditions, traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer's, and hunger control. So, neuroprotective and disease-modifying effects of the ketogenic diet. This is the NCBI again. And this is way down here. The conclusion. A wide variety of evidence suggests that the ketogenic diet could have a beneficial disease-modifying effects in epilepsy and also in a broad range of neurological disorders characterized by death of neurons. The neurons in your brain. So there we have it. Cut out the sugars, especially cane sugars, beet sugars, all your fructoses, all of those syrups that they're adding, agave syrup, honey, fruits. Cut them all out. Go on to a high-fat ketogenic diet. Eat lots of whole foods. Don't buy processed foods, and that will help your brain, and it will cut down your risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and lead to better health. I hope you enjoyed the video and it was informative. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like the video. If you've got any comments, I'd love to hear from you. You can get me on Twitter and Instagram as well. And please share the video so that people get to hear about how they can improve their health through just a simple change in diet. Hope to see you all again soon. Take care and goodbye.